So I wanted to do a really quick video on this subject that is not going away, and how they are trying to push through these theories and ideas to make it legal to spray us from above. I mean, if you look into these sponsors and the funding that's going into this, are you telling me that a lot of thought and thinking has not gone into it? Now for me, I mean, if you look up, it's clear to see they are doing it daily. They have been for a number of years now. All this is about is making it legal, governing it, and what I'll show you in a sec, making money from it, patents. Harvard and the wonderful David Keith have been promoting and saying that new patents can be created from this. So it's all money making scams, and it's all about governing and making it legal and creating a debate that will convince enough people or groups to back it. Will the gullible masses fall for it? As you can see from that last screenshot, it's nothing new. They've been pushing for it for well over a decade now. But they do seem to be pushing it forward a lot quicker, and the climate change nonsense has a massive part in all of this. Here's their most recent attempts in Sweden. It's been blocked, but as I've shown you and mentioned before, it's just a smoke screen for trying to get it governed, trying to make it legal. We all know they do it daily already. A test flight for researching ways to cool Earth by blocking sunlight will not take place as planned in Sweden this June, following objections from environmentalists, scientists and ingenious groups there. The Swedish Space Corporation said this week it had cancelled plans for the flight, in which it would have launched a high-altitude balloon on behalf of researchers from its facility in the Arctic. It would have been the first flight of a long-planned experiment called SCOPEX, a project led by scientists at Harvard University. Now we will get on to SCOPEX. The corporation, which is government-owned, said it had consulted with both leading experts on geoengineering and with other stakeholders, as well as with a Harvard committee that is advising the researchers. The decision not to conduct the test was made in agreement with the Harvard panel, it said. Here's a statement from SCOPEX on the matter, their advisory committee. Thank you to everyone who has followed along and provided input to this important process of defining appropriate governance for small-scale outdoor solar geoengineering research. It is clear from the feedback that there is a broadly shared commitment to research that can help prevent climate change from worsening. It is also clear that there is a lack of conscience about research related to geoengineering. Because of this, the SCOPEX Advisory Committee is recommending that societal engagement should occur in Sweden before any SCOPEX research is conducted in the country. So long and short of it is they decided to pull out. The Advisory Committee is conducting independent technical, legal, financial, scientific and societal reviews of the proposed small-scale SCOPEX field experiment. The proposed experiment consists of equipment, test flights, and at a later time and possibly a different location particle release flights. I won't go into the technicals. I'll show you a quick diagram. This is quite amusing. I had to show you this as well. So yeah, if you go onto ScopeX's website, bring up the news and updates. Click on the latest one, which is their last update. It's obviously in response to the decision in Sweden. So the ScopeX Advisory Committee is updating and diversifying its membership. The ScopeX Advisory Committee was established to provide advice to Harvard University on the research and governance of its proposed stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment. Excuse me if I've pronounced that wrong. The Advisory Committee was established in 2019 with the expectation of a one-year commitment and a focus on engagements with the United States. Based on the ScopeX research team's decision to potentially operate outside the US and helpful feedback from multiple organizations and individuals, it is clear that ensuring fair and legitimate public engagement is likely to require additional time and broader and more international participation. All of this means it is appropriate to expand and diversify the committee's membership. To expand our geographic scope and diversity, the committee is inviting applications. We seek people who will help us design for diversity and expand participation. We would also like to broaden the geographic and other forms of diversity of people participating on the committee. We strongly encourage applications from individuals from low and middle income countries, women, individuals identifying as LGBTQIA, let's not even go into that, indigenous peoples and individuals from racialized, marginalized, colonized and undeserved groups. Very interesting. The committee aims to ensure fair and legitimate public engagement prior to any decision on whether or not to conduct any ScopeX test flights. For that reason, we are especially interested in people who value legitimate, transparent, equitable governance more than they care about voicing their own opinions. In practice, that means they are willing to focus their attention on the processes for governing geoengineering research, are willing to invite, respect, and prioritize public and expert input about geoengineering research in their decision making, are willing to work with other committee members to achieve conscious and are willing to set aside any personal feelings about the deployment of geoengineering. Okay, so have they had any in-house problems, would that suggest? If you look on ScopeX's website, you'll be able to find some questions that have been asked about their financial funding, etc., etc. If you come down to here, it says, does the project intend to create any new or novel technology, and how will it be shared with the public? Is there any intention to create intellectual property? So what they mean by that is, is anything going to be patented basically? So it can be privately abused, is the right word. Response: no, we do not intend to create intellectual property. One of SGRP's core principles is to operate in a way that is open access across all activities. As we list publicly on a website, we aim to provide full transparency with open access publications and liberal data sharing. And we discourage patents and any form of IP protection. Because of this, key Scopex personnel have personally committed to not file for patents associated with Scopex, including all the big players. In fact, David Keith and John Daikimu authored a blog on this very topic, explaining why they oppose commercial work on solar geoengineering and will not file solar geoengineering patents. To be clear, SGRP actually would have liked to forbid patenting for any solar geoengineering related technologies it supported, but there is not a legal way to do so. Still, while it technically may be true that Harvard owns intellectual property arising from research conducted using university resources based on Harvard's IP policy and individual participation agreements faculty and researchers sign, as a practical matter, the university will not file to protect or enforce intellectual property against the wishes of the contributing faculty member. Moreover, neither SGRP nor its donors can make any claim on their intellectual property related to the experiment or other research endeavours, which basically mean they can't stop anyone else making patents. Very convenient. As it relates to activities outside of Harvard, we cannot prevent third-party contractors from filing for patents. That said, the work currently being carried out by the third-party contractors is generally not directly related to the science or hardware that would be useful in actual solar geoengineering deployment. Their work is more focused on balloon designs and other hardware that is highly unlikely to be used if solar geoengineering were implemented on a large scale, since aircraft are more likely to be used for deployment compared to balloons. For example, our balloon flight provider could file for a patent for a new technology they create related to their balloon design, but that would not be relevant to actual solar geoengineering deployment. That's very good deflection tactics there, isn't it? This is the worrying thing. So, this is the argument they have been trying to create for a few years now. I noticed it a few years ago. It's mainly driven by this David Keith and his chums. His name always pops up. But if you look a bit further down the article, a rogue nation could hack the climate single-handedly. One major risk is that a reprobate country or even a private company could pull the trigger on an atmospheric transformation project that affects the entire world. There's always first movers, certain countries driving things, said David Keith, a professor of engineering and applied sciences at Harvard University, told Business Insider. This is already happening on a smaller scale. Chinese, Russian, and US governments employ a form of atmospheric manipulation called cloud seeding, in which silver ions are scattered into the atmosphere to make it rain. Beijing spent millions on such technology ahead of the 2008 Olympics, but this technology only triggers regional weather impacts, according to Parson. In a recent debate about geoengineering hosted by Intelligence Squared, Keith said he expects bigger geoengineering initiatives to be very much on the table for some nations in the future. Some government, maybe China after monsoon causes the crops to fail, maybe Indonesia after a heatwave kills 100,000 people, maybe the United States after a Category 5 hurricane hits New York. Head on, we'll consider it, he said. If there aren't international rules governing the geoengineering process and its consequences, some experts say, conflict could easily emerge. So you see how they're trying to create this argument of, if we don't do it first, all the other nations are going to start. It's been going on for a few years now. Is it going to try and get fast forward during this present bullshit? I don't know, but it's not going away.